Goaltenders, you've met them earlier in the series and you saw them play splendidly, especially in game number 6. John Casey, who allowed only the 1 goal on Sergei Fedorov's shot in overtime at one end. And Tim Cheveldae with the first back-to-back playoff shutouts in the Stanley Cup playoffs since 1983, trying to extend his string of not allowing a goal past the 145-minute mark.
And what a story it's been for Tim Cheveldae, starting this series on certainly shaky ground, but coming back extremely strong. Now leads all goaltenders in the playoffs in goals against average, and John Casey is 4th in that statistic.
Fedorov was on the ice at the end of game 6, and he starts game 7 at center for Detroit. Neil Broughton opposite him for Minnesota. A delayed offside gets things off to a delayed start 11 seconds into this game.
Well, Bob Gainey, as I mentioned earlier, his game plan is not to change anything from game 6. He felt his team played very strong. They had certainly good scoring chances, and tonight he's going to try and use all of his personnel, 4 lines, keep a high tempo in this game, and try and tire the Detroit Red Wings out. Meanwhile, Brian Murray's theme in game 6 was just get us back to Joe Louis. It'll be interesting to see if Detroit comes out with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of tempo, and continue that from game 6.
Loose puck at center. Here's a chance for Modano. He didn't get it in, and it comes out and back in again. Delayed offside. Broughton clears the zone. Red Wings move out of it. Burr, a long right wing pass to an offside Paul Yzerbark.
Well, the hero for Brian Murray in game 6, Sergei Fedorov. What a player he was. He just kept getting stronger and stronger as that game went on for Brian Murray's team. And the team flew back from Minneapolis to Detroit Tuesday night after the game, and his father, who just came over from Russia about a month ago, just prior to the strike, and doesn't know any English at all, was one of the very few people at the Detroit airport at 2:30 in the morning waiting to greet his son.
Dave Gagne is out at center for Minnesota. Trent Klatt is playing right wing. The former Gopher is back into the lineup. Brian Propp is not dressed. And Kevin Miller, who was injured in the incident involving the now suspended Darian Hatcher, has returned to the Detroit lineup with a face shield, of course. And rookie Martin LaPointe is a scratch for Detroit. Those are the 2 lineup changes from game 6 to this game 7. Nicholas Lidstrom slowly out of his zone. Flipping it ahead. Captain Steve Yzerman breaks into the right side. Yzerman left it at the side of the net, and Casey left his right leg there. Gagne took a hit from Primo and is knocked down. Mark Tenorti goes all the way into the Minnesota zone as new Red Wings come on from the Detroit bench. David Shaw flipped it to center. Yves Racine played it ahead, intended for Probert. Shaw an intercept, almost got it ahead to Bellows.
Boy, he had Bellows wide open, breaking right up the middle. A quick pass, and Bellows would have been in all by himself.
Probert gave it away, and Dahlin couldn't get a shot on the goal. Probert tries to go back and does, delivering a hit on Bellows. Puck glides loose. Brian Bellows in the corner. He's tied up. He runs into Probert, and Probert gets up and watches the puck at his feet. Racine out for Detroit. Bobby Smith knocked the pass down, flipped it out. Oh, Bellows turned around, staying on side, hoped to see the puck, but Bob McGill corralled it for Detroit. We've now played 2 minutes of the opening period. A rather slow start. Craig Ludwig around the board. Red Wings keep it in, firing it at the net. Here's a chance for Shepard. He's hooked down, and Terry Gregson doesn't call it, indicating perhaps that Gregson will be liberal at the start of this 7th game. You would expect, I think, not to see too many penalties in a game of this magnitude.
No, he's going to try and let the players decide the outcome of this game.
Ellick trying to get Gavin, who was loose. Puck lies in front of the net. Now they bat it with a glove, and that's okay in the Detroit defensive zone. Deland able to bring it out. Alan Kerr steps across the line and shoots one into the pads of Casey, who rather calmly left it for Craig Ludwig. Here's a chance for Deland again, and he missed the far post. Like Craig straight down the right boards for Minnesota. Watched by Kerr. Craig dumps it in. Cheveldae stops the bouncing puck, and Konstantinov heads out for Detroit. Pass off a skate to the stick of Mark Tenorti, making moves inside the Minnesota zone. Now on the right wing, Modano is loose with a shot. Big rebound. Broughton looks for it. Now Modano has it in the corner. Here's a centering pass for Duchesne. He bats it with one hand as he was going down. And the Wings tried to get it out and couldn't. Shot by Dahlquist and a stop by Cheveldae with the blocker. Alan Kerr getting it to center. Loose on the right side is Modano. Trying to move around Chason, who's been a tower of strength in this series for the Wings. McCrimmon now up to Steve Chason. Ahead for Burr. Moving his eyes apart. He's held up by Klatt. A lot of hooking and grabbing going on at both ends, and Gregson is watching it all. McCrimmon to Fedorov. Winds up for the big shot, and that didn't come close to the net. The Wings, McCrimmon brings it in offside. We've played just over 4 minutes of the first period. No score.
Bob Probert, the big tough left winger of the Detroit Red Wings, making his presence known right away. The first chance he got, he had, he hit someone with a lot of authority, and he's been showing a lot of restraint in this series. Just 8 minutes in penalties, but still playing a very physical series.
Puck went through Primo. McCrimmon sending it down toward Casey, who watches the puck roll to his crease. Johnson now for Minnesota. Yzerman is on him and Primo. Johnson got it past both of them. McCrimmon up to Yzerman. Here's Primo. Big Keith Primo. Drop pass and taken away from Yzerman by Dave Gagne. Yzerman went for a spill at the far end. Gagne. A centering pass that Klatt almost got there. Went right into the crease. Tipped away by Cheveldae. Now the Wings get it out to Primo. Time for 3-on-2 here. Kevin Miller knocks it in, and the Wings will change with the puck in Minnesota zone. Tenorti knocked it in. Yellow's held up a bit by Probert. He goes after Racine, however, and Racine just lazily dumped it out. Yellow's a back pass, staying onside. Dahlin trying to break through. Cheveldae flipped it and got it away from danger. A good move, strong to the net by Ulf Dahlin, who does not have a goal in the series after leading the North Stars during the regular season. Racine behind the goal to Bob McGill. McGill a pass straight up the middle to Carson. Breaking on the left is Probert. He centered it. Casey to save. The rebound lies loose as John Casey collided with Bob McGill, who now is out of position as the North Stars race back the other way. Bobby Smith the draw. There's a shot. Brad Berry, and I don't know what happened to that as he was set up in the slot perfectly. Probert took the puck away, then gave it away to Shaw. In the corner, Bobby Smith turns with a man in front. Smith again, flipping it. Ludwig moves in, and now the Wings have a chance to get out. Ray Shepard, he will fire one high. Best Detroit chance. Bob McGill cutting in from the defense. Stu Gavin now. Off the boards, takes his own puck. And Mike Sillinger, the rookie who scored here in Game 5, passes ahead to Chason. Chason kicks it up for Gallant. Gavin has it for the North Stars. He shoots it down into the Detroit end. 6.5 minutes gone in the first period. 2 shots for each team. No goals for either team.
And Dave, at this point, I'm actually a little bit surprised that both teams, their forwards have been able to carry the puck over each other's blue lines and make some plays.
Gavin knocks it out and races after it. Chason is trying to cut him off. Konstantinov finally gets to Gavin. Now it's Ellis. To the point, and Cheveldae with a save, the rebound. Sillinger jumps on it for Detroit. Gets it up to Kerr. He took a bump from Tenorti as the puck slides down. Maybe we'll call that Minnesota's best chance.
And the other important thing, after the shot, they had people going to the front of the net to try and bother Cheveldae. Cheveldae still made a good save.
Duchesne bounces it in. Cheveldae keeps the play alive. Yzerman gave it away, but the Wings managed to come out with Fedorov. Gallant is loose on the left. Gerard Gallant trying to get it back to Fedorov. He was just poke checked by Broughton, enough to prevent that pass from completing. Cheveldae. Fedorov rather dangerously near his own net. The puck slides to center. Broughton takes it offside. 12:18 to go in the first period.
Well, John Casey has been the key for the North Stars in this series. He's been extremely sharp. There's the first opportunity from the defenseman coming in, and then Sean Burr goes right to the net and gets tied up, or that's Bob McGill, pardon me. But Casey again with a first big save, and then his defensemen were able to clear the puck out of the way.
Carson and Gagne on the draw. Probert and Klatt battle for it now as Shepard steps in and shoots it behind Casey's goal around the boards. Derek Smith trying to knock it out. McGill wouldn't allow that, and now the North Stars come up with Derek Smith. Straight down the middle, fake the shot. Smith trying to center it. Probert knocked down, but the Wings carry on with Carson. Not out, though. Devilday comes out of the goal, plays it into the other corner. Platt, a great pass for Gagne. It didn't stay on his stick. McGill knocks him down.
Dave, that was a good opportunity by the North Stars as McGill was caught without a stick on defense for Detroit.
Probert's shot is deflected. Shepard back of the goal. Probert trying to get there. Oh, a big, heavy hit by Bob Probert. And that reminds Trent Klatt who his opposing winger is.
Trent Klatt is playing in his 7th NHL game, and Bob Probert, one of the toughest hitters in the league. They met behind the net. Klatt saw him coming all the way and was able to brace himself and still couldn't keep himself on his feet. Here it is right here.
What's the difference between college hockey and the NHL? Other than that, you mean?
That was about a 7 on the Richter scale right there, that shot and that hit. But Trevor Klatt's a tough kid. He's a 200-pounder, and he saw Probert coming. Trent Klatt, pardon me.
Pass taken by Eisenbart. Fedorov now gets on it for the Wings, dropping it back to Burr. Here's Sean Burr with a shot, and Casey with a big save on Burr. Slowly out of the zone is Gavin. Gavin around Fedorov. Stu Gavin to the Detroit line. Knocked it in. Konstantinov is hit. Gavin gets the puck, trying to center it. Ellick goes looking for it along the boards. North Stars keep it in back of the goal. Turning is Madonna with a centering pass. Nobody could find the puck, and now the Wings knock it out. Dahlquist right back in for Minnesota.
Just a great defensive play by Sean Burr. He came all the way back in front of his own net and prevented a great scoring chance by the North Stars.
So it was said by many observers, and we were among them, that in the overtime, the North Stars seemed to have more legs than the Red Wings, who really looked tired as that game wore on. And the North Stars are counting on the same thing here tonight, and thus far it appears to be that way.
They've had a real good flow going to this game. They're having some offensive chances, and as Bob Gainey pointed out, he's going to try and keep playing all his players, so we'll see a lot of different line combinations tonight.
Eiserman across the Minnesota line, and he is poke checked by Bellows. Wings make sure by knocking it in and clearing the zone to keep playing. Now here at center ice, kicking it to his stick is Bellows. Bellows trying to fight through Lidstrom. McCrimmon was there. Brad McCrimmon to Eiserman. Steve Eiserman cutting through. He looked to want to go all the way there. And Shaw and Barry converge. Dave Shaw taking the puck to Bellows. He left it for Dahlin, and he didn't have it across the line very long. Now it's Lidstrom with one hand on the stick, watched by Broughton. There's Neil Broughton with an intercept. Turning and shooting is Bellows. At the other point, Tenorti. Now Bob McGill gets it out for the Wings. Primo into the Minnesota zone. Just over 9 minutes remaining in the first period. No score, 4 shots for Minnesota and 3 for Detroit. And quite a bit of uninterrupted play and icing. The fans get a chance to cheer, but there's nothing on the scoreboard that suggests they do that yet. North Stars hoping there are some in the next round against the Chicago Blackhawks. First, they must win this one against the Wings. Fedorov along the board, dropped it. Was going to drop it back to Chiasson. There's a shot by Eisenbart that is deflected.
Good defensive play there by Mark Tenorti on Paul Eisenbart, who just has 1 goal in this series and 1 point. Eisenbart, who led this team and led the league in plus-minus to plus 44s and -1 in this series. And he had a chance there, but a good defensive play by Tenorti to deflect the shot up over the glass. And what Brian Murray has decided to do, he's kept this line together. Fedorov at center, Burr on one side, and Yzerbark on the other side. Even though Yzerbark's had trouble scoring and Burr doesn't have a goal yet, he's continued to keep that line together just as they were during the regular season.
Jim Johnson for the North Stars. Burr coming in on him, and a nice pass out to Broughton. He couldn't get around Fedorov, who takes the puck, knocks it to the left side, and Sean Burr shoots it near Casey. He'll come out and play it right out of the zone. Duchesne stops it there. Broughton watched by Burr. Johnson, a long pass taken by Chason. Here are the wings crossing the line. Long shift for Burr. He wound up, faked the shot, got Casey moving out. Burr still after it. Yzerbark. Behind his back to Fedorov. Fedorov in the corner to Burr. Now Yzerbark will try to get it. And he's crunched into the boards. Good play by Johnson to deny Yzerbark the puck. Fedorov along the board. He tries to come out into the middle of the ice, and Modano stripped him of it. Good pass by Modano to Ludwig, who couldn't handle it. Fell down. Wings are, well, what a long shift for that Detroit line. Now Burr is involved at the bench with Gaetan Duchesne, and Terry Gregson is there to break it up. 7:44 to go. No score.
The two key players in this seventh and final game, John Casey of the North Stars, Tim Cheveldae of the Red Wings, both here in the early going have looked sharp.
4 shots Minnesota, 3 shots for the Wings. No penalties have been called by referee Terry Gregson. As Tenorti comes to center for the North Stars. Lost it to Primo. He tried to get it ahead and does to Yzerman. Breaking in is Miller. Miller couldn't get the puck, but we're getting our first penalty. Mention it, and something's sure to happen, I guess. Gregson has called a penalty with 7:33 left in the first period. Joe, Minnesota has struggled on the power play since game 2, but the Red Wings have as well.
Yeah, they really have. In fact, in the last 2 games, we haven't seen a power play goal. And here in Detroit, Detroit is 0 for 15 on the power play.
First opportunity for either team in this game. Fedorov played it back to Lindstrom. Other side, Chason with a shot over the net. Back of the goal, Fedorov. To Yzerman, he played it back to Lindstrom, who didn't have much room. Yzerman now along the side. Here's Fedorov, back of the goal. Tenorti chases him. Chason. Now to Lindstrom. Yzerman first has to control the puck. Now he faked the pass. Here's a chance for Probert. Our Stars right in position here. Chason, who misfired earlier, gives it to Lindstrom. Chason may try again. Here it is. Right in front of the net. Right in front. Probert put it right between the legs of Casey, who then closed those legs. And a close call, but no goal.
Well, Casey ended up having to make a great save on the play. Detroit had great control of the puck, but the North Stars were doing a good job keeping themselves in position. Now the long shot is going to hit Probert from the point. There's a shot right there. Now watch the puck deflect off the skate of the Minnesota defenseman. And John Casey had to slide over and make the play. The original shot gets knocked down. Now watch the deflection here right off the skate. Dahlquist was there, and Casey, with great reactions, not only made the first save on that puck, but Probert was there to try and bang in the rebound, and Casey stopped that one as well.
The only thing that hasn't happened in this series is broken glass. And just to have everything in the series, now we have broken glass.
I believe that was on the shot by Steve Chason from the point early in the power play. He let a long shot go and went high and wide over the net. But this Detroit power play controlling the puck very well, but the North Stars doing a good job of keeping the puck to the outside.
Combined save, Dahlquist and Casey on that shot from the point, keeping the score where it's been since the game started. The last time the North Stars played a 7th game in a Stanley Cup playoff series was 1990, opening round against the Chicago Blackhawks, who won that game. And the last time the Wings were in a 7th game was last season in the first round against the St. Louis Blues. who beat the Wings in that one.
And the last time the Wings lost a 7th game here at home was back in 1965, April 15th, against the Chicago Blackhawks by the score of 4-2. Now, both teams this morning in the skate, they were both very loose, very confident. Bobby Smith, talking in the dressing room, was loose and confident.
If you're wondering about 7th games, the Stanley Cup playoffs this season have already set a record for most 7th games in a playoff year. 6 of them, of course, in this round will go to a 7th game, 2 tonight and 4 tomorrow. And the previous high was back in 1987. Through the entire playoffs, mind you, when 5 series went to 7-game limit.
Bob Gainey now giving some instructions to Mark Tenorti and Chris Dahlquist. And Dahlquist has played very well for this team since taking over for Darian Hatcher after his suspension. Played well, certainly in Game 6, saw a lot of ice time, and played strong, especially killing penalties.
This sounds a little silly to say, but Darian Hatcher is hoping that he gets to serve the 3rd game of his suspension, because that would mean that the North Stars have more games to play beyond tonight. If they don't, then Hatcher's suspension isn't 3 games at all, but ends at 2 here tonight. Ray Shepard in the face-off circle for the Red Wings, normally a winger. On the power play, with over a minute to go, and the first minor penalty of the game handed to Brian Bellows. Lidstrom got it in. Shepard races in. He's first to it. Knocked it around on the boards from Probert. Right on him was Johnson. Shepard back to the point to Lidstrom. Other side. Quick shot. Not much on it. Deflection by Probert, but that wasn't dangerous. And the North Stars shoot it to center. Jason, bothered by Broughton, who just seems to get friskier as this series goes on. Neil Broughton, one of the swiftest skaters in Game 6. Bob Probert now. Cutting for the net. Probert behind it. No room in front, dropping it back to Lidstrom. Probert. Carson has to come and help. Probert still looking for it. He's grabbed from behind by Johnson. Now the puck goes to Ray Shepard. Cross ice pass. Chason couldn't get there. Lidstrom, a big play. North Stars get it out anyway, but had Lidstrom not been there, the North Stars might have had a 2-on-1.
And just prior to that, it was Neil Broughton that deflected the pass across to prevent the scoring chance by Steve Chason.
Lidstrom across the line at the end of the Detroit power play. Back of the goal, center. Carson shot right into the pads of Casey as Bellows returns to the ice and takes a pass. Ahead. Here's a chance now. Cutting it is Bellows. And it went by the net. He's still on the puck. Gavin turns, shoots right on. Rebound in the stands. Good action in front of the Detroit net after Brian Bellows served his penalty.
Well, Brian Bellows, after serving that penalty, came out and had a good opportunity. This morning in the morning skate, Bob Gainey grabbed Brian Bellows off to the side, had a little private talk with him about raising his game a notch for this 7th game.
North Stars continue to want more shots out of Brian Bellows. It's the only way they're going to get goals from him, and they need goals from him, from anybody. Flat hit into the boards. McGill knocked it around for Miller, and Kevin Miller a pass to Yzerman. Steve Yzerman down the right side, basically one-on-one. Now he cuts into the middle. On the backhand, Yzerman cutting right in. Puck came free, but Primo was too deep, or he might have had an open net. Platt hit by McGill. It's offside. Trent Platt going over backwards without full control of the puck.
Well, one of the things the North Star coaches want the forwards to do is to come back and make sure they help out the defensemen on Steve Yzerman and Fedorov in particular. And here's where it's just a one-on-one, but Yzerman with great strength. Look at him just cut to the net, gets a backhand shot off that Casey made the save on. Then the North Star forwards hurrying back to help out on the rebound.
Joe, watch Primo here. If he's not tied up well past the net and is standing at that side, there was half a net to shoot at, but Primo couldn't get to the puck.
Yeah, that was Brad Berry who got caught up the ice, came all the way back to help out on Primo.
.435 left in the first period. Could we be seeing the same game?
It's a little bit more wide open than Game 6 was in Minnesota. But both goaltenders certainly look sharp. I mean, they don't look nervous at all. They're easily making the saves and clearing the puck.
Lindstrom behind the Detroit net, on there with Brad McCrimmon. Right, Mike Sillinger takes the puck for Detroit, up the boards to Kerr. He didn't get his stick on it apparently, but it doesn't go far enough anyway. No icing. The North Stars now shoot it down the ice, and we've got another questionable play here. Again, a puck doesn't go far enough for icing. McCrimmon up to Gallant, off his stick, handled by Dahlquist, and he knocks it back across the Detroit line. Elliott kept it in, a good play by Todd Elliott. Elliott cutting for the net, centering. Oh, two North Stars missed it. Mike Craig and Stu Gavin saw it go by them. Here's Gallant with Sillinger. They keep coming close at both ends.
That was an outstanding defensive play by Chris Dahlquist on the 2-on-1. He anticipated the pass going to Sillinger from Gallant, and then went right after Sillinger right away. And then before Sillinger could get off a clean shot, Dahlquist was able to deflect it with the blade of his stick, and it deflected wide. Great defensive play.
Two chances without shots on goal. Still 7 for Detroit and 5 for Minnesota, but both teams came close in the last flurries.
Well, the North Star defensemen are getting a little bit more aggressive. There's the play right there, and Dahlquist, as soon as the pass was made past him, he released and went right after the shooter, who was Mike Sillinger, the young rookie that's played so well in this series, and he was able to deflect that shot by Sillinger that went wide.
.340 left, first period. It's interesting the way this series has developed. 4 goals, 1 for Minnesota in the first 2 games, 5 for Detroit in Game 3, 5 for Minnesota in Game 4, then 3, including an empty netter, 1 Game 5 for the Red Wings. All he needed was 1 in Game 6, and the teams are still looking for a goal here in the first period of Game 7. Better off to the point, shot by Chason, and he puts another one over the net. Shane saw Yzerbark coming, braced himself, and they battle along the boards. Now it's knocked free. Johnson couldn't get it anywhere. Yzerbark dropped it to the point. Konstantinov backing up, kept it in. Here's a chance now for Yzerbark, cutting in front of the net, and he just overskated the puck, or was checked from behind by Duchesne, I believe, preventing that chance for Yzerbark. Burr at center, looks to hit Yzerbark. Now he fires it all the way in. Ludwig around the boards. Duchesne doesn't get it out. Wings shoot it at the net, and that's stopped by Ludwig, and he makes sure it's out.
Dave Duchesne made a great defensive play. He lost position and then recovered.
Here's Yzerbark. Centering for Fedorov. It didn't stay on his stick. Modano across to the other side. Rotten has to come off, and so Bellows has to shoot it in. Fedorov, long pass. Dolan flips it in for Minnesota. Brad McCrimmon back with 2.5 minutes remaining in a scoreless first period. Jason sees some open ice on the right side, carrying it in with Shepard. Here's Carson cutting around Bobby Smith, but Dahlquist went right at Jimmy Carson, hit him and took the puck away.
Boy, both teams really playing great defensive hockey in their own zone. Players just aren't able to beat anyone one-on-one. They're just taking the man, taking them right out of the play, and just playing great hockey here.
Ludwig to Dolan. Dolan, a nice little pass to Bobby Smith. He breaks over the line with Bello. Leaves it for Brian Bello. The shot. And Cheveldae with a big save and rebound. Then Probert gets out to center, but no farther. 1:50 to go. Brian Bellows ripping one at Cheveldae for Minnesota's 6th shot.
Well, Brian Bellows is going to have to contribute here, I think, for the North Stars to have a chance. He's got 3 goals in the series, but in the first 3 games he had just 3 shots on goal. In the 4th game he had 5 shots on goal, but in the last 2 games he's only had 2 shots on goal. And in Game 6 he played 28 minutes, which is a lot of time for a forward, and he only had 1 shot. So that was one of the reasons why Bob Gainey wanted to have a discussion with Brian Bellows this morning, telling him to shoot more, go to the net, every chance you get, shoot the puck, because he's got a great shot.
If you're wondering about previous 7th games in Stanley Cup play, 63 of them. The home team won 40 times, or 63.5% of the time. The visiting team, the other 23 games. Fedorov crosses the line with his backhand, and he lost the puck. So it's not a cinch for the home team by any means, although there's certainly an advantage, and it's supported by statistics. In this series, however, the home team has not fared very well. The Wings have lost twice here, and the North Stars have lost twice at the Met. And it is the kind of series where you have to think that a 7th game, no matter where it's played, is pretty much a toss-up.
And both coaches feel that what's going to determine this game tonight are their best players. Fedorov and Yzerman certainly for the Detroit Red Wings, and they've certainly been noticeable every game in this series. And Modano, of course, and Bellows for the North Stars have to come in and really play a strong game. And thus far, Bellows is playing with much more authority. He's getting some shots off. Fedorov is handling the puck and trying to make plays himself.
Konstantinov for the wing. Doesn't get around Todd Ellick and has to go back for the puck. Chase on. Burr trying to knock it in, but didn't get it very far. Dahlquist. Checked by Burr, but there's no Red Wing there to capitalize as Ellick skates to center. Modano's with him. Todd Ellick back now to Gavin. He cuts to the middle with a shot. Modano on the rebound. Goes wide. Almost carried the puck out. Now Fedorov has a chance to bring it out. And Sergei Fedorov is checked. Good work by Modano, but he couldn't do anything with it. Then they tried to hit Fedorov at the blue line, and that was broken up by Gavin. Yzerman and Fedorov on the ice together here. North Stars are changing. Red Wings go to the puck. Here's Gallant breaking across the line. Gerard Gallant is shot. Time for the far side. Really didn't come close. Konstantinov at the blue line to Yzerman. Knocks it in. No Red Wing is going there, though. Half a minute remaining. Eric Smith on the left. Into the middle for Klatt. He dropped the pass to Gagne. Pass Chase on and into the corner. Chevelday leaving it for McCrimmon. He dumped it around just to the point. Ludwig sent it one at the net. North Stars with a chance here late in the period, but now it comes out with Gerard Gallant to Fedorov. He shoots one in, and Casey watches it go by his net with 3 seconds left. That should do it as the puck is in the corner with Dahlquist, and we have another scoreless period with 3 of them in Game 6.
Team a tremendous ovation when they came on the ice, but just like the previous 3 games in here, the North Stars have been able to quiet this crowd down, and they haven't been a factor.
Only one penalty in the opening period. The North Stars killed that off. It was to Brian Bellows. Mike Modano, who told you in the intermission what he would do if he gets a breakaway on Tim Chevelday, now tries to put those words into actions. Pass ahead. Here's Yzerman, and the Wings are judged to be offside on the pass from Chason to Yzerman in the first minute of the second period. I guess Bob Gainey likes every whistle he hears.
Well, he likes to try and slow things down if he can and not allow Detroit to really get going. They've got such explosive forwards with great quickness that the slower he can keep this game and the more whistles that are heard tonight is certainly more of a benefit for Bob Gainey and his team than Brian Murray and his squad.
Konstantinov for the Wings over to Chason. Steve Chason into the Minnesota zone. Tenorti turns behind the Minnesota net. Red Wings stand back. Tenorti has to deal with Fedorov. And Tenorti flips it out. Fedorov comes out of the zone as Yzerman gives it to Fedorov. Here's a chance across the line and a shot. Puck bouncing right in front of the net, but no Red Wing was going to that net. Duchesne at the Minnesota line. Came out. Broughton turns for the North Stars. And a pass. Penalty here. First one to the Red Wings as Modano was upset. Drawing the penalty. Mike Modano and the Wings go to the penalty box. Here's a Minnesota power play as we are 1 minute and 8 seconds in to the second period.
What Brian Murray is trying to do, he tries to keep Konstantinov and Chason on the ice, especially against Modano, as much as possible. But with Modano's great speed, you've got to keep an eye on him, and that time Konstantinov hook down Modano, and he'll go off, and it'll be the first the North Stars' first power play chance of the evening.
There have been 9 goals scored in the Minnesota power play in this series. Lest you forget, only 6 of them were scored by the North Stars, 3 by the Red Wings. And right off the bat, Yzerman almost broke away at center, shorthanded for Detroit. The Wings give it to him at their line. He'll waste some time. Thought about going out. Now he backhands a pass ahead to Sillinger, and he knocks it the rest of the way.
Dave, we talked about the North Star power play. They started off the series 4 for 8. They've gone just 2 for 23 as of late. And what they're going to try and do tonight is move the puck much quicker and take more shots.
Bellows against Brad McCrimmon behind the net. Puck comes free to Lidstrom, and Nicholas Lidstrom looks to attack. 2-on-2, the Red Wings. Fedorov down the left side against Shaw. Stops. Goes for a skate. Sergei Fedorov now shoots it across the Minnesota line as the Red Wings waste more time. 1 minute of penalty time has expired to Konstantinov. Mark Tenorti carries it for Minnesota. Crosses the line and flips it in. 2 North Stars, including Tenorti, go after it. He dumped it back. Gagne looking for help in the corner. Trying to flip. Here's a shot by Tenorti. He gets his own rebound. Controls the puck. Dahlin from behind the net. Red Wings send 2 men at him. Jason back in the goal. He's tied up. Racine shot it up the boards and out. Casey playing the puck away from Sillinger. Got it to Johnson with a dozen seconds left in Konstantinov's penalty. Here's Dahlin to Gagne. Gagne, a centering pass. Dahlquist couldn't handle it. Racine shoots it out. Oh, didn't get much on that. A shot for the point by Clack. North Stars look for the rebound. Penalty is over. The Minnesota controls the puck in the Detroit zone. Still on it is Gagne. Konstantinov comes out of the box. Doesn't get it out. Puck lay loose in front of Cheveldae and is now shot out as Dahlquist dumps it back in, and they'll call Minnesota offside. So neither team has been able to capitalize on a power play.
And again, Tim Cheveldae with a great save on Mark Tenorti. And if you go back to Game 6, you remember the save that Cheveldae made and ended up deflecting off the post. That also was on Mark Tenorti. Tenorti walking in front, and he lets go a quick shot that Cheveldae makes a good pad save on. And showing great position and concentration, he makes a save, and he's right back up on his feet. There's the quick shot by Tenorti. There's Cheveldae watching it all the way, and as soon as he makes that save, he's right back up on his feet, ready for the next one.
Carson Probert and Shepard are out for Detroit. Todd Ellick, Stu Gavin, Mike Craig for Minnesota. I think right in front of his net was McCrimmon, and he goes past 2 Minnesota forwards. The third one, Ellick, bothers him a bit, but here's Probert trying to break into the left side. Johnson steers him to the corner. In the other corner is Ludwig, and he shoots the puck out to center. Kicked by Lidstrom. Good play by Craig to get to that puck. Craig tries to cut him with a centering pass. Oh, Ellick looked and saw the puck go by him. A shot for the point. Cheveldae stopped that. Ellick against Probert along the board. Comes loose now to Carson as Probert goes down. Carson up to Shepard. He shot it into the corner. Probert keeps it there. Back to the goal. Shepard turns around, but Ludwig has it. His pass up for Craig. Goes in now low to Probert. Here's Shepard. Other point, unguarded. McCrimmon. Shot one. Right on. Not in the net yet. No goals, says Terry Gregson. It never went in. And you can bet the Red Wings will want another look at it, but Gregson is indicating that he doesn't need one. We're going to see it, even if Gregson doesn't want to look at it. And Ryan Murray knows all about overhead cameras by now.
He likes them.
We're going to show it to you. Gregson does not have to call for it to be sure it didn't go in. The Wally Harris can call down and say, you better look at it.
Well,
as soon as we see it, we're going to know. The overhead camera tells us immediately.
Yeah, Gregson had great position on the play. He was watching it all the way, and it was a smart play by McCrimmon at the point after getting the puck, because He waited for Probert to come all the way from the corner in front of the net. That's Probert right there being tied up. There you see the puck squirting behind John Casey.
Stays right there.
It stays right there and stops right on the line.
Whoa, boy. It has to be all the way across the line.
And that thing was spinning right on the line.
We didn't see it spin from above. I thought the overhead camera would tell us everything. And I didn't know the puck was rolling. When we looked at it directly above, it got lost on the red line. And, of course, if you don't see any black on the other side of that red line, it obviously is not a goal. There's the puck rolling to the line, on the line. Nothing there indicates that the puck is over the line.
Here's Probert now coming in from the corner. Now that's where McCrimmon delayed the shot, so Probert tipped it. John Casey tried with both arms, but he couldn't stretch either of those arms back far enough over his head to get his hand on it.
It almost looked as though Shepard had a chance to play the puck with his stick in behind Casey's head.
He may have knocked it to the side.
That might have been what happened. That is ultimately what ended the play. Well, if you wondered how close they could come without scoring, that's how close. Kevin Miller shot it out. Chris Dahlquist back of the goal. Well, these games are more exciting when they stop. Here's Yzerman right into the pads of Casey, and we won't see that puck either. He covers up. Steve Yzerman got everything into that, and Casey was in perfect position.
You know, the way these goaltenders are playing, I mean, both teams might as well just open up and just go at it offensively and try and score, especially the North Stars, because they've had the most trouble. A bad play there by Duchesne as he just backhanded it right into the slot. And look at Yzerman. I mean, he puts everything he possibly can into this shot, and instead of trying to pick a corner, he tries to blow it right through John Casey, and Casey just coolly comes out of his net about 20 feet and just puts himself in the perfect position and stops Yzerman on another shot.
The 10th Detroit shot of the game. The North Stars have had 9. We keep talking about shots because we can't talk about goals. Gallant trying to play it. Brad Berry reaches ahead of him, and Gagne didn't get it out. Berry in the corner. Casey played it around the boards. Racine back of the goal. Gagne shot it around Gallant, and out it comes. Carson played it with his glove. Off Gagne. Play continues as Shepard picks it up. Shepard left it for Carson. Across the line. Carson, here's a pass to Gallant. He was open, but on his wrong wing and couldn't handle the pass. Shepard in front. Tried to center it. Now he stops, waits, gives it to Gallant. With Carson in front. Gallant bothered by Berry. He gave it away. Berry on the left side after making a good defensive play. Into the corner for Derek Smith. Racine hits him high and bumps him into the boards. McGill back to the Detroit goal. Up to Shepard. His pass right on the stick of Bobby Smith. Evelday leads for Racine. Feed to Shepard, and he played it to center. Ludwig right back in. Evelday out of the net now. Has to be careful as he plays it up the wing to Shepard. Long shift for this line. Again, Shepard gave it away. Bellows with speed. Ryan Bellows, a shot. Right through Chevelday, but over the net. Probert ahead for Carson. He left it for Shepard. This will be the last chance for this line for the wing. Shepard at the net. Rebound steered away by Ludwig. Now McCrimmon attacks from his defense post. Over to the corner. Carson and Shepard have gone off, and Probert will have to get there too. As Bobby Smith attacks from Minnesota. Smith across the line. He's hauled down. Penalty on the play. Another Minnesota power play, the second of the period, with 13:16 left, as Bobby Smith was held and pulled down.
Now the North Stars will have their second power play opportunity of the evening. Paul Yzerman goes off after pulling down Bobby Smith, who made a nifty move right at the blue line. Here's the play there, and Paul Yzerman's coming back the other way, actually covering Brian Bellows, and he just reaches out with his hand and pulls down Bobby Smith. and the North Stars go on the power play.
Konstantinov and Fedorov telling the linesman they're not ready.
David, let's look for the North Stars to try and work that puck down around the Detroit net, pull all the Detroit players in towards the net, and then look to move the puck to either Tenorti or David Shaw on the point high in the slot for the shot.
Shaw will go back to get it. Plays it away from Fedorov to Tenorti. Up to Ulf Dahlin. Long pass. Gagne tries to catch up to it. Fedorov bothers him. Chase on in the corner with Gagne on him. Up the boards. Dahlin plays it in his skates to his stick and has the puck on that stick now. Dahlin in center. He has a shot. Oh, Chevelday, what a stop. Great setup from Ulf Dahlin, who's trying to do it again. Back to the point. Shaw. That was wide. Tenorti, he'll take it, look, and play it behind the goal. Chevelday is out of the net. Dahlin to the point again. Shaw. One more time. That's deflected. And here comes Sean Byrne. Not sure he should have been playing that puck at the blue line, but the Wings managed to regain possession. Konstantinov got it out past Tenorti and down the ice.
Well, those were good chances by the North Stars, but Dave Shaw has to make sure he gets that puck on the net. He's got forwards going to the net, Trent Klatt especially, and he's got to get the shot on the net for Chevelday to make a save.
Here's Modano, full flight, drop pass. Here's a chance left side. Bobby Smith a shot. Missed the far post. David Shaw at center. Jimmy Johnson off the boards. Bellows the rest of the way. Bobby Smith tries to get loose. Modano does. Modano back at the goal to center. He has a shot. Chevelday, it's a rebound. Right in the crease. Modano gets it back. Modano again. Dahlquist shoots. Johnson to Bobby Smith. Back at the goal. Bellows looked to move in front but didn't have the puck. Now he's got it. Into the penalty. Back on the ice. Eisenberg. Shot for the point. Oh, Chevelday with the left leg. And the fans are on their feet saluting the Detroit goalie. Here's Eiserman. His shot, and it's blocked. He's got it again. A pass. A shot. From the point, another one. And Casey never had to save that one. Eisenberg tied up and knocked to the boards. Penalty coming up. Furious action now out of thin air. The fans are roaring, and the Red Wings are going to the power play.
Well, Chevelday, his best save right there. That was on David Shaw. You talk about quickness coming across the net. And there's a lot of action in front of Chevelday. And that was another save he made on a point shot. But Trent Klatt is trying to get in front of Chevelday to try and prevent him from seeing the puck. And that was another great play there. That one on Jim Johnson.
Now it's a Detroit power play with Dahlquist on. Chase on shot. Robert. Back of the goal. Shaw's on him. Robert dropped it to Shepard. He's trying to get it to the point. Racine, let one go. And the fans will scurry for that one.
And that shot was actually blocked by Craig Ludwig. He actually kicked it out of the way. The long shot came, and Ludwig was stationed in front with a couple of Detroit players. That's Jimmy Carson. And look at him right there. He sees that shot coming, still knows where Carson is, and that hurts. He gets it right on the side of the foot, but it deflected up over the glass for a whistle.
Joe, I'm going to practice if you don't mind. He shoots, he scores.
Boy, we haven't heard that much, have we? What great goaltending.
At the point, Jason. Other side receive. Gives it to Carson. Carson plays it to the board. Low, here's a shot, and Shepard trying to sweep it in front. He didn't get it there. Carson, Racine gets it back to Carson. Other side, here's Jason. Just no room for Detroit in the power play. Carson again. Shepard gives it to Carson. Tries to move in now. slowly but surely, but then he goes back to the point. Racine lofts one at the net. It lies free. Racine, or it's Jason rather, trying to keep it alive, and the North Stars shoot it down the ice. A minute of penalty time to Dahlquist has expired.
Well, that's Duchesne and Broughton. There's something else putting pressure on the point man. And in front, Mark Tenorti with great defensive plays as Bob Colburn is trying to get position in front of John Casey. And Tenorti has just been great.
Jason shoots it all the way in for the wing. First on it is Fedorov. Back of the goal, Ludwig grabs him. Now Johnson plays the puck up, but it's kept in. Fedorov along the boards. They put pressure on him. Here's Jason at the point. Turns away from a checker. Gets it to the other side. Lidstrom. Now Yzerman has it along the board. What great penalty killing by the North Stars. Yzerman. Here's Chason not getting to the pass as Stu Gavin deflected it into the crowd.
That is terrific penalty killing by the North Stars, as you mentioned, Dave. You notice how all four players on the ice for the North Stars, they all know where the puck is. They're not taking their eye off the puck, and at the same time, they know their defensive responsibilities, especially the defenseman in front. Tenorti had two Detroit players earlier, and he always watched the puck. He had his players. Now watch the defensive play coming up here. There's Tenorti in front, actually blocks that shot, and then is able to clear it to the corner. Meanwhile, Casey's also trying to help out his defenseman in front. Anyone that's coming near the crease, Casey's going to use his stick to try and keep players such as Shepard away from the front of that crease.
Now McCrimmon at the point, almost lost it to Broughton. Centering pass for Yzerman. Behind him. Miller centered it for Fedorov. He scored! I don't know if anybody else can score, but he can.
Watch Broughton, number 7. He deflects it. Fedorov, what an athlete. Broughton deflects the puck. Fedorov was ready to shoot it, but he has to kick it up with his right skate. Broughton was coming back to help out defensively. He has to kick it up with his right skate to prevent the puck from going past him after Broughton deflected it. And he just walked right in, and all in one motion, kicks it with his right foot, lets the shot go quickly, and John Casey didn't have a chance.
It is Detroit's first home ice power play goal of the series. The first goal of this game by the man who scored the only goal of the last game, Sergei Fedorov. Madonna played it ahead for Alec, and it didn't stay on his stick long. Chason off the boards and out. Alec takes it for Minnesota. Here's Madonna with a chance. He passes the puck. At the point, Tenorti tries to gather it. He knocks it further as Terry Gregson's in a traffic jam. Fedorov into the corner. Yzerman tries to get there ahead of Dahlquist. Yzerman delivered a hit. Puck came out. Yeah, it did. According to Ray Scapanello, it did. 8:10 left, second period, and Fedorov has scored a goal. On the bench as play is in the Detroit zone. Yves Racine straight out for Detroit. A long pass hitting Miller on the fly. He is onside. Where's that puck? Oh, give us another overhead view.
That was an excellent play by Yves Racine on the play. Kelly Miller just keeps going straight down the boards, and Yves Racine decides to fire it in off the boards. Miller comes from a bad angle and just fires it at Casey. Now it hit the side of the net, just on the side of the post, bounces back out and hits Casey before lying there. There's the play right there by Racine as he sees Miller flying in. Miller's the first one there, and he tries to slip it right off the post or the net and tries to deflect it off of Casey and ends up hitting Casey, and then Casey is able to cover up.
Well, Miller did what he wanted to do. He just didn't get the right bounce. They wait for the puck to be dropped. 7:52 left in the second period. Red Wings have the lead. North Stars shoot the puck past McGill and down into the Detroit end. Racing forward is Racine. Miller, long pass, hit Primo in the back, and he comes up with it now. Primo tries to fight his way around. Ludwig it does, but the pass is right to Gagne. 4 North Stars come the other way. Johnson trying to get it to Smith, and here's Yzerman. 2-on-1, Miller to catch up. Kevin Miller shot! Missed the net. He tried to one-time it. He's got it behind the goal. Now around, and can McGill keep it in? Yes. Yzerman cutting for the net. Primo to Miller. Miller backhand, right on. Furious action again in front of John Casey. Harry Gregson, let's play continue, and the North Stars get a break. Gagne coming to center ice. He's by himself, though. Everybody else gone to the bench. Off the bench, Tenorti. Tenorti cuts in. Bellows goes to the puck in the corner. Ryan Bellows winds up and shoots one right on, and McGill sent it away from the net. Smith in front. Oh, Dahlin was right by the net. Now we've got the net off, and that brings play to a halt with the North Stars. Challenging Tim Cheveldae's shutout.
Tim Cheveldae again standing tall in the goal for the Red Wings. The North Stars with the flurry, but again Cheveldae is able to keep the puck out of the net.
Red Wings win a draw in their own zone. McCrimmon slowly to his own blue line. The left side, Gallant watched it go into Casey. Casey plays it up the boards. Now Gallant has another chance outside the Minnesota line. The Red Wings cautiously handling the puck in their own zone. McCrimmon. Long pass. Handled for the moment by Sillinger. Gallant shot it off the skate of Alan Kerr, and the puck stays in the neutral zone. Tenorti played it all the way back. Dahlquist turns around. Just over 6 minutes left in the second period. Ryan Bellows, a long pass is intercepted by Nicholas Lidstrom. He carries it across the line. Here's a chance for Kerr with a man in front. Kerr sent it there. Another chance. Sillinger. Shot, goal! It's a fourth line, but it's got the second goal.
Well, it's a great job, first of all, by Nicholas Lidstrom intercepting the pass, and then the North Stars just have trouble finding a man and covering up. Kerr is going to finish it off as he goes right back to the net, beats Dahlquist to the loose puck. Casey had been going back and forth making saves. He just couldn't recover as Alan Kerr ends up putting the puck into the empty net to give the Detroit Red Wings a 2-0 lead.
Well, full marks to rookie Mike Sillinger for the move he made to get the shot on Casey, which produced the rebound that went to Alan Kerr. Sillinger really had to lean to get a forehand shot away and to make it a good shot, forcing Casey to make a stop.
Now, the disappointing thing for the North Stars is that they had good control of the puck and gave it up. Bellows tried to make a cross-ice pass. Lidstrom anticipated the play, intercepted it, and kept it in.
More trouble for Minnesota here. Terry Gregson has his arm in the air as Sean Burr is down on the ice. And a penalty is called for high sticking here, and Burr is cut. Big trouble for Minnesota.
Well, this could really put them in a lot of trouble with 5:37 left to go in the second period. And they're already down 2-0.
Calling a 2-minute penalty to Bradbury, but still, it's a 2-minute time.
Well, Brian Murray now has his team with a 2-0 lead and back on the power play. And they've been flying here in the last part of this second period.
Now a chance shorthanded for Gaetan Duchesne. Duchesne tries to spin around. He just fires the puck at Cheveldae now. Bradbury, the penalized Minnesota player, as the Red Wings try to add to their 2-0 lead. One of their 2 goals came on the power play by Fedorov. Onside at the blue line. This is Lidstrom. Pass down low, intended for Probert, was intercepted by Ludwig, and the North Stars shoot it down the ice. Shots are even at 15, but the Red Wings have 2 where it counts by Fedorov and Kerr. Probert stops, plays the puck back. Lidstrom to Carson. Down low to Probert. He gives it back to Carson. Trying to get it to the point. Lidstrom a shot. And that's deflected into the corner. Eric Smith comes on for Minnesota. Kicks the puck out. And a chance for Gavin against Lidstrom. Gavin all the way down. And Lidstrom keeps him right on the board. Derek Smith tries to help out. Gavin falls down. 45 seconds remaining in the penalty to Brad Berry. This is Kevin Miller. He's had a couple of chances in this period. To Yzerman. Yzerman not expecting a pass. Still got it ahead to Miller. Now it's at the point. McCrimmon teed it up. And Racine misfired. Fedorov to Miller. Centered, and not a bad idea to try to get it to Fedorov, but it was behind him. 25 seconds remaining in the Detroit power play. Fedorov breaking in from the right side. A pass. Long pass to try to complete. Fedorov has it back to the goal. So does Yzerman. Centered all the way back to McCrimmon. Now Racine. And Fedorov missed again.
That was such a quick, hard pass by Kevin Miller that Fedorov wasn't expecting it to be that hard. He just let it get by him.
Fedorov's feet went out from under him, and that denied the last Detroit power play opportunity as Barry is back on the ice. North Stars called for icing. The fans don't see another goal, but they like what they see on the scoreboard and cheer the Red Wings with 3:25 to go in the second period. In games 3 and 4 of this series, 2-goal leads proved to be something of a hex. Each team twice had 2-goal leads in games that they lost. So I guess the North Stars have to hope that that is returning to haunt this series and haunt the Red Wings right now. Detroit up by 2.
Well, again, Bob Gainey doesn't think it's necessary to score that first goal, but with less than half the game left to go, a 2-goal lead looks pretty good. They're going to have to start opening up.
But Chase on a shot, and that didn't get to Casey. As Ellick turns for Minnesota. Pass ahead to Modano with Craig on the right side. Mike Craig drops it for Modano. Modano tries to play it around Konstantinov, but he takes Modano straight to the boards. They're still tied up with each other as the Wings move back the other way. Long shot by Burr, right on Casey. Yzerman gave it back to Sean Burr. He fell down. And the North Stars shoot it out. Less than 3 minutes of the period. Konstantinov in his own zone, having a little trouble with the pass. Knocks it to center. Alec right back in.
Well, Brian Murray's got Konstantinov and Jason on the ice. Every time Modano is out there, he just can't get free.
Wings now will be called for icing if now the puck, they say, went through the goal crease, and they will not call icing, just in the tip of the crease. Casey careful not to play it, but it is not icing anyway. Gagne. He flips it in. Devillet careful to hold it. Now he gave it to Lidstrom and up the boards to Kerr, who has the second goal in this game. His pass is behind Gallant, but Sillinger is there. Mike Sillinger, when these playoffs started, was in the American League at Adirondack, and he's come up and played a big role for the Wings. He's in front of the net now. So he scores! Gallant, 3-0. Good play by Sillinger to get out of the goal crease and leave it free for Gerard Gallant to go one-on-one against John Casey. It is the first goal for Gallant in the series.
Well, he hasn't played all that much, but he's known as a leader on this team, and that's why he's there. He's got great leadership ability. He's good in the room. He's good on the bench, and he hasn't played that much, but that's a real big goal for Detroit right now.
Bobby Smith as Minnesota's down by 3. On the right side to Dahlin. Up behind the net, Yzerman tying up a North Star. McCrimmon is there too for Detroit, and they get a whistle as Yzerman finally falls down under Brian Bellows and Bobby Smith. Gerard Gallant's first of the series at 17:57. He assisted on Alan Kerr's goal. So we repeat that so-called fourth line is just about #1 for Detroit tonight.
And Brian Murray going right back with Gallant. He hasn't played all that much in this series. He's taken a couple of bad penalties earlier in the series. But right after that shift and right after that goal, Brian Murray comes right back with him. Well, this guy used to be a goal scorer in this league. 3 years in a row, he scored over 30 goals. And 2 years ago, developed some back problems. He's a very feisty, hard-nosed player. And last year, he had only 14 goals. Struggled again this past year scoring goals, but that's a big goal right there in the 7th game.
Well, the Wings won game 5-3-0. But the third was into an empty net late in the game. This is the first time either team has actually played with a lead of more than 2 goals. So the 2-goal lead for the Wings didn't last long enough to be considered a bad luck charm. Yzerman cutting into the middle, stopping and falling, still trying to play the puck. And Dollar played it to an open wing, trying to catch up to it with Smith. Miller knocked it away from him. Jimmy Johnson. Here's Kevin Miller. As the North Stars injured in the play. Ryan Bellows gets up slowly. Play continues. Yzerman in the corner with Gallant. Gallant gets his stick free. Can't move to it though, and has to stand there and watch Ludwig come out of the Minnesota zone. Just over a minute remaining.
And Bellows is complaining to referee Terry Gregson about the high stick. He got caught with a high stick by Steve Yzerman, and now Bellows is talking to one of the linesmen as well. He's still after Gregson right now, asking him how he didn't see that high stick that he got by Yzerman just in front of the penalty box.
Well, the North Stars have complaints about the way Steve Yzerman is treated by the referees. They feel that the Superstars get an extra break and that Yzerman draws a lot of penalties. The referees see infractions when Steve Yzerman has the puck, and they choose not to see them when Yzerman is committing them. Let's see.
Now the puck goes back the other way. Bellows is coming back. That's Johnson with the puck. Yzerman is 19. Right there is where he gets Bellows. And it was clearly a high stick, but no one saw it. No call.
Shaw shot it around. Crane has it there and pass up on the left side to Todd Ellick with some room to move. Ellick cutting into the middle. A drop pass. Probert was coming back and broke that up as Carson moves away for the Wings. He has room down the right side. Carson cutting in. Red Wing fans want a hooking penalty. Gregson will not call it. McGill turning in the Detroit zone. He decides to play it safely into row 3 with 26.9 seconds showing on the second period clock. And just when you thought neither team was going to score, the Red Wings get 3 of them.
And uncharacteristic giveaways by the North Stars, Dave, on 2 of those goals. The one power play goal, a great goal by Fedorov to get things going, but the other 2 goals, Bellows had the puck, tried to go cross ice with it. A great play by Lidstrom to break it up and go back the other way. That really is what led to the second goal, and then the giveaway on number 3 as well.
Now, obviously, Bob Gainey's going to the dressing room after this period, and he must change something. He can't keep playing to be close because he's not close anymore.
Well, now he really has to rely on John Casey to make the saves, and he's going to have his team open things up and try and create more offensively.
John Burr back in the net for the Wings. Moves it out late in the second period. 15 seconds remaining. Long shot in by Burr. Casey played it around the boards. Modano knocked it down, but didn't get much of it. And the Wings are going to play for the 3-0 second period lead. And they'll get a big ovation as they go to their dressing room. It was airtight till the midway mark of the second period, and the work rate. It's the third period, and the Detroit fans hope it's the last period they see in this series. The North Stars have to try to mount a stirring comeback here and get 3 in the third for overtime, or 4 here to win it. And Joe's quite right. John Casey is bound to be busy if the North Stars throw it as wide open as it appears they must.
And Dave, right off the start here, Madonna was floating out around the red line, as was Duchesne, the two wingers, trying to create something.
How conservative do you think the Red Wings will be?
Well, I think they're going to try and have 4 players back in the neutral zone as much as they can and not allow Minnesota to carry the puck over the blue line. But what Minnesota is trying to do here at the beginning is float their wingers way out near the red line. What that does is it forces Detroit's defensemen to move back as well. So there's a little bit more room to move the puck coming out of the zone. But again, I think it's going to be difficult for Minnesota to carry the puck over the blue line. They'll be dumping the puck in and forcing Tim Chevrolet to handle it.
If he can record another shutout, it would be his 3rd of the series, 3 in a row. And that would tie a National Hockey League record that has stood for a long time. You got to go way back to the 40s and even further to find 3 consecutive shutouts by a Stanley Cup playoff goaltender in this league, and Tim Chevrolet has the chance to do it here tonight. Flat trying to kick it free off the draw. Primo bats it out into open ice, and Miller sends it across the blue line. Dahlquist got it to Derek Smith. Now Dahlquist bumps into Miller. Gagne turning and shooting it in. Jimmy Johnson for Minnesota. That will be icing if touched by the wings, and Brad McCrimmon easily gets to it first. 4 seconds short of the 19-minute mark. 19 minutes remaining in the 3rd period, and the Red Wing fans will want to see that clock go as fast as possible. 1945, Frank McCool of Toronto. 3 straight shutouts in the playoffs. Clint Benedict set the record initially in 1926, and Norm Smith in 1936 had that much time without allowing a goal. There was a long overtime in there, which explains why he doesn't have 3 consecutive shutouts, because obviously there's the equivalent of more than 4 regulation games in Norm Smith's time. And Tim Chevrolet is not going to get the lower record tonight, but he could tie the other one.
And Norm Smith is a former goaltender for the Detroit Red Wings.
Dillinger won the draw to Curry. Bounced one at Casey. Red Wings Gallant on the right side. Well, this line has earned some more ice time with a couple of goals in the 2nd period. Dillinger out there with Kerr and Gallant. Tenardi to Shaw. Shaw for Bellows. Ryan Bellows. A pass back for Bobby Smith. Takes it back and the goal centers it. No North Star there. Gallant chips it out, and Kerr had a chance to create a 2-on-1, but he couldn't handle the puck. North Stars now 2 lines on an offside pass with 18:29 to go in the 3rd period.
Well, for Bobby Smith, this is the 5th time that he has played a 7th game in a series, and his record going into tonight was 3-1. Played a lot of playoff games as Bobby Smith, 13 consecutive years in the playoffs now. Most of those with the Montreal Canadiens, of course.
Gary Gregson has refereed 2 other 7th games, this being his 3rd. Bobby Smith's a 3-1 mark in other 7th games. They all happened at the Montreal Forum.
And one of those was when he played for the Minnesota North Stars. They upset Montreal in the 7th game in the Forum.
Well, they couldn't get this venue changed. It had to be in Detroit, and now Bobby Smith has to look for a lot of goals, as do the other North Stars, to try to make this one a successful 7th game. Alec centering in. No shot. Good setup by Alec. Here's another one. Johnson with a shot. And Carson has a chance to clear it away. We have Terry Gregson calling a penalty now, as the North Stars did touch Chevrolet there with 2 minutes gone in the 3rd period.
Well, you talk about a crucial time in the game with the North Stars trailing by 3 goals. Ray Shepard will go off. The North Stars are 0 for 2 on the power play thus far tonight. That's Jimmy Johnson with the quick shot. Again, Chevrolet with the nice play, but right in front, Stu Gavin.
We got a stick measurement, Joe. The North Stars want Tim Chevrolet's stick measured here to try to get a 2-man advantage.
Well, you talk about an opportunity right now. trailing 3-0. Cheveldae has to wait while they make this measurement. Bob Gainey is taking this time to go over a few things with his power play unit. Neil Broughton and Steve Yzerman waiting for Gregson to make the measurement.
Now what happens here is if the North Stars are right and Cheveldae's stick is illegal, it's a two-man Minnesota advantage. If they're not, then the power play edge is wiped out and Minnesota must take a 2-minute delay of game penalty. However, down 3 goals, I guess it's worth a try, and you don't know right now how certain Minnesota is of this gamble. They might feel that there's no doubt that Cheveldae's stick is illegal, and they're not at any great risk.
And it looked like what Gregson was doing was measuring the knob of the stick. Now Yzerman is...
They're not taking it back to Tim Cheveldae, and he comes over now, and it would appear he's going to tell the Red Wings that they have to put another man in the penalty box.
Well, you talk about having plenty of time left to go in the game now, trailing 3-0. 18 minutes remaining exactly in this third period. But now with Shepard already there, a 5-on-3 the North Stars could have right here for a full 2 minutes. Gregson explaining things to Brian Murray, and you would think by that this is going to go against the Detroit Red Wings.
Well, who knows where it came from, whether Bob Gainey or a super sleuth on the North Stars equipment staff, or one of the players, or maybe Darcy Wakaluk or John Casey. Seldom is this done on a whim. You usually need some information before you're going to try this. And at this point, though, another penalty has not been put on the board, it would appear, because Tim Cheveldae doesn't have that goal stick, that the Red Wings are going to get another penalty.
Well, now they're taking tape off of the knob. So I think what's going to happen here, the North Stars are going to get this call. And they're redoing Tim Cheveldae's hockey sticks.
Well, the North Stars know what's happening here. They've got a big chance when it appeared that all was lost to get back into this game. They will have a 2-man advantage. Though we still are speaking unofficially because no penalty has been announced or recorded on the board, but it looks like a 2-man advantage for 2 minutes. And obviously that's a chance to score 1 goal and then score another goal.
Well, you talk about events that can change the course of the game. This crowd is also sitting here somewhat stunned by what has happened. Now Alan Kerr will serve the minor penalty for Tim Cheveldae. They still have not put it up on the board as of yet, but Kerr has gone over to the penalty box.
And I guess the Red Wings have made sure that this one is okay. They better have made sure, otherwise the North Stars can call it again. Still nothing announced, and now it's on the board. 2 minutes to Tim Cheveldae.
And then what that penalty is for, the rule book states that there will be a penalty in the case of a goaltender's stick. There shall be a knob of white tape or some other protective material approved by the league not less than 1/2 inch thick at the top of the shaft. So that knob was obviously more than 1/2 inch. Well, now what the North Stars are going to have to do on this is they'll look to get the puck to Mike Modano to take the shot. They've got to win the face-off first and get control.
Konstantinov shoots it out. Casey's got to come out and win a race with you-know-who, Steve Yzerman. The way I read the rule, or heard you read it, is that the knob wasn't thick enough. They had to put extra tape on the new stick. We'll make sure of that, but first we have to cover what's happening here. A minute and a half remaining in a two-man Minnesota edge. Gagne across the line. Flipping it back in the goal. Dahlin beaten to the puck. It lies in the corner now. Konstantinov is on it. Here it comes back to the point. Mike Modano with it. Other side. Shot. Blocked by Chason. He just shoots it into the other corner. Couldn't do anything else with it. Now here's a chance for Gagne. A pass. And it went over the stick of Bellows. Gagne back at the point. To Modano. Shoots one. Modano again. That hit part of the post perhaps. Gregson ruling. No goal. Modano another one. And Chevalier's got that. 48 seconds left. Let me give this another try, Joe. There has to be a knob of white tape, not less than half an inch thick. Obviously, his stick had a knob that was less than half an inch thick.
And the North Stars with some chances. Here's the first shot by Modano. I think maybe Chevalier gets hurt on this shot a little bit. Seemed to maybe catch him in the arm, and then he'll get another chance. With the North Stars, Dave, the problem is the North Stars aren't getting shots from good angles. They're shooting way off from the sides as opposed to trying setting someone up directly in front of Chevalier. They're getting shots from the sides, and they should be able to work for a better opportunity than that.
Going back to the penalty, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure Billy Smith will, but does this rule not harken back to the days when Billy Smith used to use that end of the stick for other purposes, shall we say, and the league decided that there had to be sufficient tape there to identify the end of the stick?
Yeah, Billy Smith always well known for using that stick and punishing opposing players around the net.
48 seconds remaining in the penalties to Shepard and Chevalier. Yzerman, Konstantinov, and Chason, the Detroit penalty killers. Gagne to Modano, who had the last shot, and it was a good one. Other side to Broughton. Here's Modano again. Neil Broughton to Modano, from his skate to his stick and back to Broughton's stick. Down low, Mello turns and didn't get a shot. Modano does. Yzerman along the boards. Got it to the line, not out. 20 seconds left. Gagne. Dahlin has to fight for control of the puck. He centers it. They score! They get one with 10 seconds left in the penalties. One Red Wing will come back.
And what a pass from Alt Dahlin to Brian Bellows, who ends up finishing the play. Watch this pass here. Quick and hard, right through everyone. Bellows right on the side of the net, right next to Chason. Look how quick this puck in, right on the stick. Right there. Bellows with a great goal after a great feed from Alt Dahlin. Dahlin faked like he was going to the point. He'll just look out and he'll use that quick pass. And boy, it doesn't get any better than that pass by Dahlin. They're still on the power play.
And they bring it across the line offside with 4 seconds remaining in the Ray Shepard penalty.
And now what this does, getting the North Stars to within 2 goals, it'll change the philosophy of Bob Gainey and the North Stars somewhat. They don't have to open up as much quite yet. Still plenty of time left to go in regulation time. They can keep being aggressive when they get a chance to go offensively, but they don't have to start sending a defenseman on every rush.
Crimmin got it out as Ray Shepard returns the Red Wings. 2 penalties produced 1 Minnesota goal. Shaw got it up to Smith. Here's Detroit now knocking it ahead to Fedorov. Fedorov shoots one, and that went through Casey, but up the other side and wide of the far post. Big hit by Bird on the stick out of Alex hand. Shaw crosses the line. He shoots one, and that has Chevalier dancing. Fedorov is back in the net. Question now is, what other effect is this going to have on the game? Will it spur the North Stars on? Will it have unraveled the Red Wings in any other way? It remains to be seen, but clearly the North Stars have what they absolutely had to have, at least 1 goal out of that. Now let's see if they can get something else. As a a lasting effect from the 2 penalties to the Red Wings at the 2-minute mark. Bob Probert centered it right through the crease. No Red Wing is there, and the North Stars shoot it down. 15 minutes remaining in the 3rd period. Bellows putting Minnesota on the board, ending a long scoreless drought for Minnesota in this series. Bob Probert takes a pass offside. The Red Wings aren't certain the play stopped as they couldn't hear the whistle. 14:47 left when we return. Detroit 3, Minnesota 1.
Well, the thing to remember about this Minnesota North Star team is that they've got players with a lot of playoff experience. They're not going to get too excited yet. They'll keep working, they'll keep battling, and this game is long from being over.
Casey plays it off the boards. Gavin turns. His pass, and here comes Mike Madonna. Shot deflected into the far corner. Kevin Miller turns for the wings. Yzerman leads the puck there for Jason. Jason cutting it from the left side. Pass to Miller. Big stop by Casey. Yzerman keeps it in for Detroit. At the net, right on. Miller taken down. Red Wing fans upset that no call was made. The Detroit bench equally upset. Gavin a long drive, and Chevelday ducks out of the way of that. Primo for Detroit. Taken out of the play back of the goal. It's Racine. Up to Yzerman. He looks for Primo. Primo late in moving. Yzerman slowly fires. Rebound. Came way out past Primo. Dumped in the goal crease. And here's Ellick now in full flight for Minnesota. Todd Ellick crosses the line. Centers. Chevelday steers it to the corner for Fedorov. And he's got Burr moving at center. Sean Burr. A drop pass for Yzerman. He's knocked down by Dahlquist. Fedorov dropped it to the point. Lidstrom shot one. Oh, almost got it on Yzerman's stick. He's got it now. Centered it, intending for Fedorov. And here's Ellick for Minnesota. Nolan trying to follow up. Couldn't. Fedorov sent it ahead again for Burr. He's been a great worker for Detroit, but has not been too dangerous offensively. Doesn't have a goal. Shepard goes back into his own zone. Over to Lidstrom. We have 13 minutes left in the 3rd period. Detroit by 2. Ludwig. He's checked. Big hit by Probert. Shepard centering it. And a hit from behind. Carson drilled one from his knees. But Casey stopped. Probert takes Clark down. And now the Minnesota bench wonders what's happening.
Detroit really staying very aggressive. They're forechecking with 2 and 3 men. Every chance they get, they're not backing off at all.
So let's say this, that the 2 penalties and the 1 Minnesota goal have changed the game. Carson, where is it? That's it. That's it. Gregson pointing to the net. And sure, that changes the game too. Back to a 3-goal lead.
Well, Detroit decided to stay aggressive. Bob Probert, I believe, ends up with the puck. First of all, Clark gets taken down by Probert. And then Detroit is going to be able to break out and come all the way back down and put some pressure on. You're going to end up seeing Jimmy Carson take the shot. He thought it went in. There it is right there, but it's actually Probert. The puck went off the post behind Casey to the other side, and that's where Probert outfought Tenorti for the puck. Maybe it wasn't Probert. It may have gone in off of Tenorti and into the net. But either way, that regains the 3-goal lead for the Red Wings with 12:25 to go here in regulation time.
It's all part of the job here at the Joe Louis Arena to become friends with the Octopus. Probert might have scored it, but he had something to do with it, taking the puck off flat, whether legally or not, as the Red Wings really did respond aggressively to what happened to them with the 2 penalties and the goal by Bellows. Bob Probert is getting credit, I believe, Shovelday spilled in his creases. Gallant goes for the puck. Carson will get one assist. And Steve Chason the other.
And still Detroit hasn't slowed down at all, Dave. They're dumping the puck in and continuing to forecheck aggressively and put as much pressure on the Minnesota defense as they can.
Gallant crosses the line offside with 11:39 to go. The first goal of the series for Bob Probert. They have accredited the goal to Probert at least. And I don't know that anybody here in Detroit's got the nerve to take it away from him.
I don't think so. Now Probert's going to slide in right there. He's swinging at the puck, and 24 is Mark Tenorti. And I'm not sure if Probert ends up getting the puck with his stick or not.
There's a shot off the post. That looks like it goes off.
Now Probert never touched the puck at all. It actually ends up hitting Tenorti twice. It comes dead off the post, hits Tenorti on the right skate, and then I think it either hit him on the stick or the other skate before going in. And that goal should belong to Jimmy Carson. But as of right now, Bob Probert, his line mate, gets credited with it.
Linesman Ray Scapanello has another squid on the goal stick of Tim Shovelday, the apparently legal goal stick of Shovelday. Well, he gives it to Jerry Gauthier, and he's going to skate it all the way back to Shovelday. Boy, the goal sticks have had more to do in this game than most.
You can use those things for a lot of different purposes, can't you?
Maybe the blade's too wide. I mean, the octopus fit right on it. Here's a centering pass and another shot as the Red Wings go for 5. Broughton comes back. Well, the North Stars will like that it's wide open here. It has to be for them. Offside, delayed, and now called at the Detroit line with 11:17 to go.
Well, if you're wondering why the octopus on the ice here in Detroit, that's a tradition that goes back to the 1950s. Back when the Red Wings played at the Olympia before Joe Louis was built, there was a man by the name of Pete Cusimano who owned a fish market right near the Olympia. And back in those days, you only needed to win 8 games to win the Stanley Cup. 8 tentacles on the octopus. Pete Cusimano would bring a fresh one from his fish market to the Olympia at the start of the playoffs and throw it on the ice, and the tradition has continued since the 50s.
What if he'd owned a steakhouse? Dahlin along the boards against Lidstrom. Swedish countryman battling for the puck. McCrimmon on the other side tips it away from Bellows. It's Mark Tenorti attacking for Minnesota. Yzerman presses him out of the play. And the Wings keep it in Minnesota's end. Less than 11 minutes to go. Bellows just shot one out looking for open ice. They will not call icing. McCrimmon playing it against Ellick. And the Wings shoot it out. And gather the puck now with Primo. Ahead for Yzerman. A little too far. Barry shot it away, but Yzerman got it again. Almost from Primo. It's Bob McGill turning back now. Wings slowing things down again with a 3-goal lead. Racine crosses the line to Yzerman. Gagne flipping it out right onto Racine's stick, and he just knocks it into the Minnesota zone. I think the Red Wings had the desired effect with their strong response to Bellows' goal, getting the 3-goal lead back, and we're back to basically conservative hockey for Detroit. Good strong checking. Here's Sillinger tried to center it. Alan Kerr drops it to Racine. Racine winds up. A pass instead of a shot. Sillinger. Gallant back of the net. Kerr goes for it. He's knocked down from behind. McGill shot one at the net wide. Racine waits for it. He shot one right on. Rebound, and Gallant missed his second of the game. Gallant again. All sorts of Detroit pressure here. Some would say the best defense is this from Detroit. Another good, strong shift from the Sillinger, Gallant, Kerr line.
They're just not backing off at all. And what really changed this series around when Detroit with one as Detroit decided to get very aggressive, and it's really paid off.
Bob Gainey had 4 30-goal scorers in the regular season. He needs them all now as often as possible as the North Stars try to get back in the game. The stick measurement certainly had the desired effect, but that'll only work once, you'd think.
Well, if they didn't need to open up when they scored the goal to make it 3-1 with 16 minutes to go, they certainly need to do it at this time. Again, trailing by 3 goals with 9:15 to go in regulation. And they've really played a heck of a series, have these North Stars and these Red Wings. And this is a familiar spot for Detroit. 5 years ago, they were also down 3-1 after losing the first 2 games at home to the Toronto Maple Leafs and ended up winning the series in 7.
2-on-1 for Minnesota. Gavin, a shot, and that didn't find the net as Burr comes back the other way. Red Wings won't be happy to give a 2-on-1 in that situation, but they escape it as Gavin shot one high. Chason races back. Boy, if there are unsung heroes for Detroit, I guess he's more than that. Steve Chason, what a great series he's played for the Wings. Long shot handled by Chevelday. Konstantinov back in the goal, off the boards to Burr. He knocked it to center to Dahlquist. Burr on the boards, knocks it out, and the North Stars have to regroup in their own zone. Dahlquist behind his back to Ellick. Ellick out there with Bellows and Dahlin. Todd Ellick. He could be as fancy as he wants now, trying to get something going. Dahlin trying to shot block by McCrimmon, and Shepard took it away. 3-on-2 for the Wings. Ray Shepard up to Bob Probert. Back to Shepard. Probert. He's too far now. Sent it in for Carson, and went through to Lindstrom. His shot right on. Casey with the save. Dug free by Probert, but after the whistle with 7:56 left.
Face-off in the Minnesota end. And again, what the North Stars need to do, win this face-off, go on the offensive, send as many people up offensively as they possibly can, and try and get shots on Tim Chevelday.
Gaetan Duchesne, normally a defensive forward. Everybody's got to be thinking goals now for the North Stars. And the Wings offensive players like Yzerman and Fedorov will be able to concentrate a little more than normal on defense here. Kevin Miller broke it up. Here's a chance in front of the net. Bobby Smith looks for somebody to pass it to. Shot it across the crease. Here's a chance. Oh, Gaetan Duchesne had it on his stick. I thought he was going to put it into the empty net. It didn't get there. Casey a long pass with the Red Wings changing. Trying to hit up Bobby Smith at the line. Knocked down now by Gavin. He'll bring it in for Minnesota. Ducks under a hit by Chason, but then ultimately goes down, and Yzerman picks it up behind the net. Primo couldn't take a pass at the Minnesota line. Gavin turns. Big chance for Gaetan Duchesne a moment ago. Gavin still with it. Long shot. Any shot now is a good one. Alan Kerr knocks it out. Zinordi turns away from a check by Gallant, but takes one from Kerr. North Stars across the Detroit line. And Kerr again uses the boards to try to get it out. This time it didn't work. Here's a chance. Badano wound up, couldn't get the shot. Sillinger on the right side to Kerr. Kerr a shot. Casey with the save. Gallant behind the goal to Kerr. Zinordi against Sillinger in the corner, and it's out now to center for Nicholas Lidstrom as we approach 6 minutes remaining. Well, the North Stars need a goal every 2 minutes if you want to break it down that way. Bello tried to center it and didn't make it as McCrimmon stepped in front. Fedorov on the left side, Yzerman. He's had a tough series offensively, Paul Yzerman. Wings happy with his defensive play, however. Dahlin trying to get it over to Ellick. Ellick back. Here's Bellows a shot. Chevelday steered that to the corner. Barry kept it in. Back of the goal. Bellows with it on his backhand. He centered it. No North Star there. Fedorov. Played it calmly to Burr. He returned it to Eisenbart now. Eisenbart for Fedorov. Great passing here and a shot right on. Casey will hold it with 5:15 left. We're back to Joe Louis Arena in just a moment. But Joe, how things might have been different. Darian Hatcher, of course, out of these last 2 games for the North Stars and was so important earlier in the series. Shane Churla sitting ahead of him. We think back to Game 3 when the North Stars were close to a 3-0 series lead and a penalty was called late in the 3rd period on Jimmy Johnson. If not for that, maybe this series doesn't get nearly this far. Clock misfires. Johnson is the North Stars still trying to get within 2 here. They have the play where they need it, but now Covert intercepts. Knocks it up for Carson. He saves on the right side Konstantinov, and he's offside as a big hit along the boards. Vladimir Konstantinov, we talked so much about Steve Chason, but high marks go to his defense partner too. Those 2 guys have just been great this entire series. A little weak maybe in Game 1, but they have come back to really backbone this team for Detroit. Mentioned Chason, he has played more hockey than any other Detroit player in the last 3 games. In fact, the last game, Game 6, he was on the ice for 36 minutes, more than any other player for both teams, and he really came of age starting in Game 2. His career, he's had some injuries, but he has just stepped to the forefront here, tied for the playoff lead in the plus-minus category at +6. Plays all the power plays, kills penalties, blocks shots. He just does everything for this team, and what a difference he's made the way he's played. Already plays it outside the line to Shane to Bobby Smith. Eric Smith waits on the other side. Bobby Smith a shot. Definitely a little trouble as that rolled off his stick. Now Gaetan Duchesne from behind the net. A centering pass. Zinordi trying to play it with his skate. He's got it now. Zinordi again. Turns and trying to pass it to Duchesne. It goes to the other corner to Derek Smith. He flipped it right on Cheveldae, who holds it, and the Red Wing fans give him deserved applause with 4:11 to go. The turnaround for Detroit and the turnaround for Tim Cheveldae. That's what we've seen in this series. Now, when you talk about key figures on these teams, you have to mention Mark Tinordi and what he's done in the playoffs, especially after sustaining the injury early in the season, fighting back all season long, never being 100%. He has just been a tower of strength. You talk about minutes. He had a 5-minute major penalty, still played over 34 minutes in Game 6. He has been also terrific on defense for the North Stars. Less than 4 minutes to go now, and we have to wonder about Bob Gainey's thoughts regarding pulling John Casey. I think that you don't want to wait till there's a minute to go, and it would normally be done with a 3-goal deficit. I think Casey has maybe got to be lifted as soon as the North Stars get any kind of pressure in the other zone. If they do that, Eiserman put a backhand wide to the other post. Right now it's Detroit with the pressure. Casey comes out of the goal now to play the puck. Just sends it to the line. Red Wings not letting Minnesota get underway at all. Primo back of the goal. Miller is there. Kevin Miller is holding the puck there. That's not a bad idea for the Wings with a 3-goal lead and 3:11 to go. First, Minnesota has to get it to the other end, and then I think Casey's got to come out. Well, John Casey has stood tall in this series as well. He has just been an excellent goalie the entire year, and there's another one that just slides by him on a deflection. Steve Chason shot it, and if it went all the way without being touched by another Red Wing, the goal will belong to him. Steve Chason tops in plus-minus, league-wide in the playoffs coming into this game at +6. Now he appears to have his second goal of the series. And John Casey never saw it. 5 people in front of him. It ends up deflecting off the skate of Sean Burr and past John Casey to the far post to give the Red Wings a 5-1 lead. If it's Burr's goal, it's his first, along with Probert's first, still on the board officially, and Gerard Gallant's first. 3:07 to go as more seafood litters the ice. Well,
There's a reason why this team ended up with 98 points in the regular season and have fought back here so desperately after losing the first 2 games at home. They are a good hockey team, competitive, and all kinds of talent.
The Chicago Blackhawks have assistant coaches Rich Preston and Darryl Sutter here tonight. Probably hoping for Minnesota for the first and last time in their careers, in Chicago at least. Of course, the Blackhawks would have opened the Norris Division final at home, and Minnesota won tonight. Instead, the Hawks are going to stay right here and play Saturday night at Joe Louis Arena against the Red Wings. Gavin to the left side, a 5-1 Detroit lead. As we have 2.5 minutes remaining in this third period, Konstantinov took a belt from Stu Gavin right in front of the Detroit bench, and it cost him his helmet. Then he gave up the puck to Modano. Modano a pass for Ellick, and Fedorov picks it off for Detroit, and he flipped it off the linesman, Jerry Gauthier. Chiasson intercepting yet again. Fine defensive play by Detroit's number 3, and the fans know that there's more playoffs here in Detroit. They're celebrating loudly now. Chevalier with a glove. He'll give him another reason to shout. Well, you wondered if this guy would get his game back together, Tim Chevalier. He had a shaky first 4 games of this series, but he has been almost perfect since then.
What a story he has been in this series. You talk about going from one extreme to the other. And I talked to people in this Detroit organization about Chevalier, and they said he was the same way in junior hockey. When he'd go through streaks where he wouldn't play well, they said he had the ability, the mental toughness to turn himself around right away, even at a very young age, stay focused or refocus himself and come back and play great hockey. And that's what he's done in this series, and he has really made himself known now as a goaltender in this league.
Gagne crosses the line. Craig comes near the net for Minnesota. Trying to center it. It's still back there. 2 North Stars are there. Platt. To Shaw as they announce the final minute of the period. Craig trying a shot. And another one. And it's in. It's 5-2 with 50 seconds left. And Chevalier, in some disgust, kicks the puck out to center. He had a shutout going entering the third period. And now the North Stars have beaten them twice.
Well, Mike Craig in front. You'll see all the Red Wings back. Craig took the shot, and it was blocked. A good job of blocking the shot by McCrimmon, but the puck ends up right back on the stick of Mike Craig. And on the backhand, Chevalier tries to get over, but he gets the puck up high. The puck actually ends up deflecting off a Detroit player's stick. Chevalier was going down to make the save, and it just bounced up over his shoulder for the goal by Mike Craig.
Brad Berry comes to center for the North Stars. Now Detroit 2-on-1 the other way. Primo with Miller. Miller wants the puck, but the pass was behind him. Berry knocked the puck into the stands with 30 seconds remaining. And they're now announcing, of course, that the Red Wings and the Blackhawks will play the Norris final.
We talk about turnarounds, we can talk about players, Chevalier, Yzerman. But what about the job Brian Murray has done here? After losing the first 2 games, he came under a tremendous amount of criticism here in Detroit regarding his playoff record, how he couldn't get his teams motivated, how he's never gotten out of his own division after having tremendous records during the regular season. He stayed very cool and calm and was really the big factor in the turnaround of this series.
Trent Platt at center for Minnesota. Seconds tick away and the fans will erupt. Some have gone home, but many others are standing and saluting the Red Wings and the North Stars. Both teams responsible for an entertaining series that ends happily for one team, as it always does, and unhappily for the other. But both teams can be proud of the entertainment they served up. It's all over now. Detroit out to Tim Chevalier to say thanks for a great job, and the North Stars the same to John Casey. And as I said to Tim Chevalier 2 nights ago, when he and John Casey shake hands in the lineup, they might want to talk about Game 6 that they'll never forget. Bob Gainey and Brian Murray will remember all 7 of them.
A tremendous coaching job by both these teams. You saw great hockey. Bob Gainey, after a mediocre season, really got his team going in the playoffs. They played good, solid hockey. They ended up running into a tremendous goaltender in Tim Chevrolet. They couldn't buy anything. And Chevrolet turned this series around from a player standpoint for this team and led them to the victory in this series.
Every time you see it, you want to mention that this is a great small part, perhaps, of hockey that has lasted over the years and should last forever. It is great to see these guys battle each other for 2 weeks and then